in the Navy.
I was in the Navy, so I never set foot in Korea. I never put a foot down, but we sure bombed the heck out of it. And I know about it. Do you know we're still at war in Korea? We never signed a treaty. To this day, it's only an armistice. And I guess if you look at papers lately, they North Korea once in a while come down and shoot up a few South Koreans because there's still a war. From there, maybe Frank will add something.
I'll give you a little background on myself, okay? I joined the Army when I was 18 years old. I served for 3 years in the U.S. Army. I was trained, and I went to schools in Fort Houston, Virginia, Fort Meade, Maryland, and I took my basic training in Camp Kilmer, New Jersey. Why did I want to join the service? Let me tell you something. I want to defend my country, do what my brothers did, and my family did. I spent 14 months in 2 locations. I was based, they trained me to supply ships, airplanes, trains, a transportation battalion, and also 15th AAA Anti-Aircraft Battalion. I was in Korea. I spent 16 months and 27 days in Korea. I went from Busan. I landed at Incheon. I landed in what they call a wet vehicle. The ship couldn't go in there because the tide was too low. So we landed in Incheon in a wet vehicle. And after we got in Incheon, we loaded on a train, a passenger train. No windows in this thing. All the windows were broken out, right? Had our duffel bags, threw it on the passenger train. About 6-7 hours later, we landed in Busan, Korea. Right? In Busan, I spent 14 months there. Lived in a half-track with a military, looked like a machine gun mounted on a rack there, armored windows. You have little slots in the windows so you can see through them at night when you're traveling. Well, even the lights had little cat lights, they call them, so you can see through them. Well, getting back to the train, we were going down to Busan. You seen all these little hills on the side of the track. And I don't know what those little hills were. They were cemeteries. They used to bury some of their people standing upright. They had a belief. Koreans used to have a belief that there was always a demon chasing them, right? But he tried to beat the train across the tracks. It never worked. They always wind up getting hit with the train, right? But that was that. Then, the winters were cold. A lot of snow. You're sitting in a half-track on the hills for 1 week at a time. We take turns every other week, on and off. And after 16 months, I was ready to depart home. I didn't do no fighting. I protected them with the South Koreans. We've seen people come up at the DMZ. We're at what they call the Yalu River, where the Koreans would come over at night with flashlights. You would wonder what's going on. You were just waiting for them. They used to wear these little rubber moccasins. You couldn't hear them. You could see that flashlight coming uphill, and you wouldn't want to stop them. It's either you or them, right? But I never shot anybody. Give them a warning shot. That's all I did. The Korean War, like he said, was never ended, right? And an arms agreement was never signed. It was a peace treaty. And the main object in this beginning was about a ceasefire to halt the hostilities. Well, the halt may be indefinite or for a specific period of time. Belligerents, the state of war continues to exist. All this implication for the belligerents and the neutrals. The Korean armistice itself specified that only a stopgap measure until a final peaceful settlement is achieved. To date, the settlement, otherwise known as a peace treaty, has never occurred. Once attempt was made at the Geneva Convention in 1954, but nothing came of it. This is why we protect our country, so we can enjoy the freedom it brings to us. Everyone can have a chance to life, to have a dream, and make it come true. After returning home, I got engaged to my wife. After 1 year, we got married. We have 5 children, and we have 10 grandchildren, one of which is our granddaughter, Christina Minor. We were married 54 years. That's my thing about Korean War. You got any questions?
I've read some of the questions back here, and you did touch on some of them, which was interesting. What would be an interesting question is, did you ever go back to Korea after the war?
No, but I just heard recently that if I wanted to go back as a Korean War veteran, the South Korean government will pay all my expenses and set me up in a hotel. I never knew that before until yesterday.
Right.
A very good friend of mine that did this before, and he said he found that out. I was quite surprised, but no, I wouldn't go back.
I think I would like to go back. Simple reason, when I was there, they lived in a lot of poor farmers. They had a lot of straw and clay and mud houses that they lived in. And when you walk down the street, you see all these poor people. I mean, they were hurting. They had nothing. They had nothing. They lived from the farms that they grew this stuff, right? I never knew what kimchi was. You know what kimchi is? Anyone? No. Go ahead.
Is it like a spicy cabbage?
You got it. Perfect. Yeah. And that's what you see. They buried in the ground, big vats, and they lived on it. Rice and that. That's what they did. But I'd like to go back there and see what it is now. I know they came a long way.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect. In 54 years, 57 years, I'm sure. We see a lot of cars on the road today.
What do you think of the TV show MASH?
Me?
The
MASH.
TV show MASH
What do you think of MASH?
and its portrayal of the Korean War, the TV series MASH.
I think it's a television program. That's what I
Yeah.
think. It's period.
Okay.
It was, it didn't depict what they were.
Okay.
It's too much like the Western movies and when they started out, but it's not the fact.
Yeah, because it was filmed in Northern California.
Exactly.
Trying to show the cold environment when they could. What about the adjustment coming home, having been away for 16 months or however long you were gone? What was the adjustment of coming home?
Back to a new world. I never heard of Johnny Ray. Johnny Ray, you know? When I come back, I had a song, Cry. And that was blasting. I come back to San Diego. That's where my ship was home port. And I couldn't believe the difference in the music. In 1 year, or probably 13, 14 months. But the whole culture of the country had changed. And it was unbelievable.
Any lifelong friends from the military when you got home? People you kept in touch
Well,
with?
the ship I was on, I could have bought a picture, I guess I should have. We all get together every year, and it's the biggest for Destroyer. Destroyer was a very small ship. We had 300 crew. And they have the biggest return on Destroyer. The Navy keeps a record of it, and they send this association sends us, what do you say, what they do, what they accomplished, and also, yes, I still, but actually, when I left, I only contacted one fellow once, and that was all I know. But I went to one convention, and, we're all men. We were young kids. We're all men now. It's quite a change.
I'd like to say one thing. When we were over there, you had some free time. Your free time. What do you want to do? We weren't fighting at the time. A lot of fellas would go get shotguns from the supply room, right? Go out hunting. They have pheasants. They have different things to shoot. Got to be careful. They still have a lot of landmines out there that never got out of there. A lot of people got hurt that way. A lot of people got blown up because they were going hunting for quails or whatever it was. You don't want to go hunting anymore if you see these guys come back in the basket. Right? You know what they went through during the wartime. But it's a learning experience that I'm only hoping that everyone you can go on to your life through school and do what you want to do and live that dream that you want to do and do it. But the other countries that it's hard. You go and see different things that's happened over there and anywhere. It's a tough situation, and you can only hope that one day they'll come through. And they did. We helped them. And that's what it is. That's what it's all about, helping each other.
Now, as a returning veteran, I know after World War II we had the GI Bill to give education to returning soldiers. Was anything offered up to soldiers returning from
Oh,
Korea?
yeah, we had the same benefits.
Same benefit.
Yep.
Yeah, we had the same benefits. I got my job back. I got my vacation while I was away. And then I trained as a machinist, and I collected GI benefits.
Okay.
I like that they say a little something that when I come home, I was told when I come back from overseas, before I could muster it out, take 3 months off, relax, get used to it, all right, before you go into anything. Well, I tell my wife that before we were married. She says, get a job. Well, that's right, you want to get married, you got to have a job. Well, that's what I had to do. I waited for 3 months though, like they told me to do. I never lived it down, but that's where you are right today. I went and got a job, and here we are. 54 years later, 10 grandchildren, and we have a ball.
Well, these kids get off 3 months every year, so.
Yes, they do.
It's called summer.
They do. Yeah, it's called summer.
So,
And not only, when I come back, I am now a crossing guard for Dover Township Police Department. And I love all you guys, and I see all these kids crossing back and forth, and just keep what you're doing. Have a dream. Do it.
People safe.
Yep. Be safe.
Any other experiences you could think of? Any unique situations, or just anything that happened that seems to be?
Well, I was involved with the invasion of Incheon. And the ship I was on, there was a destroyer, it called for a commanding officer of a commander. And my captain was a lieutenant commander, because his father-in-law was an admiral, so he put us on. So we were the junior ship. So in the invasion of Incheon, the second invasion, battleship New Jersey was there. And so what we did, we got behind the battleship in New Jersey, so a submarine wouldn't sneak up behind it. All we did was circle and we watched the war.
Okay.
And then the captain got on the loudspeaker and he said, anybody want to see naval history made? Come topside. I was in the engine room. I said to the chief, I said, come up and see. And most of the guys there were World War II veterans. So he said, yeah, go ahead. So the Jersey fired a full salvo. That means every big gun on his ship. And it was magnificent to see. All you seen first was the smoke, then you heard a roar. Roar, your big thunder's loud. You should have heard that. And that was naval history, because that was the last time the battleship was supposed to be in action, because they're obsolete. World War II made them obsolete. But that was history.
One thing I seen over there, we were getting rid of all the supplies from Korea, shipping it, packaging it up, bringing it home and everything, right? Well, needless to say, I was wondering what, these Korean people wear these loose-fitting clothes all the way down to their ankles. Well, we used to have an inspection of all the people that come out there. The Koreans used to work for us. They used to pack stuff up and everything. They used to have belts. They used to have all the stuff they used to pick up and steal from our compound. And every time the MPs would come out, and they would lift your robe up, and they would have hammers and screwdrivers in it. They were poor. They were just trying to survive. But they did what they had to do, and that's what it was. The experience, I didn't have any for me.
Yeah, guys, remember, we talked about North Korea today. Basically, most of the money goes to the military, so today it's almost a peasant economy, and they keep talking about people being poor. In North Korea, there's such a lack of food because so much resources is given to the military that I told you people go up in the hills and tear up grass before the winter so they have something to eat. There's so many people starving in North Korea today. We talk about how the economy in South Korea has been flourishing since the war, as America went there and helped them, and they became a capitalist economy, and they were producers of cars and electronics and things like that. And North Korea, pretty much the opposite, a military society. Not a lot of electricity. We talked about the apartments at night, lights out, very little noise. You can hear babies crying across the street in an apartment, no traffic at night. So just, you look at, I've always said the best thing you can do in this world is lose a war to America. You look at Japan and Germany and how robust their economies are today, and then you look at Vietnam's economy. If you lose to the Americans, we protect you. You do not have to pay for your defense after that, and you can pump that money into your economy. And Vietnam learned by beating us that it didn't help them economically by any stretch. You look at South Korea today and how strong it has become as a result. Korean War veterans and those that have served on the demilitarized zones are, especially with the older generations, are very much hailed. And that goes into the point that he made that if he ever went to go visit there, he would get to stay in a hotel and the government would pay for everything. There's a large degree of appreciation. The younger generations, it might be a little lost on. They weren't there. They didn't experience it. We've seen more of a Yankee go-home mentality with the younger kids that haven't accepted it. But the older generation is very strong in this, and we have a commitment with South Korea that is not going away. That commitment is there. I would say today, we have around maybe 10,000
They
in
say
US troops.
32,000.
That many, okay, all right.
We used to have 50,000 before
Okay.
that.
On the demilitarized zone. So, I mean, we have, some of our guys right now are stationed over there around the clock. You know, they don't pull them away. So, we have a teacher that used to be in this history department, and he went over to Korea to teach English. They want everyone over there to be bilingual. So they're calling for Americans to come over and teach English. And they really didn't even have a curriculum for the class. They've asked him to just have conversations with them in English and get them to respond. And he's been working over there for a couple of years now, and they pay for a place for him to live and everything, and he can save all that money and then come back here with all that money when he's said and done. So, I mean, we still have very strong relations with South Korea. We always will. I don't see that going away anytime soon. So,
Just remember one thing. If you ever see these pictures on television about the Korean War, not mass so much, but when I first got there, I seen children literally crawling in the street, one foot, one leg. It was devastating when I first got there. I couldn't believe what I seen, you know. And you know, they eat dry the fish, you know, the kimchi, the rice and that stuff. But these kids had no place to go, All kinds of orphanages over there. But there were hundreds and hundreds of just walking the streets with nothing. It was a shame, but they came out of it. You know, they came out of it with the help of us.
you guys remember, for the midterm, what you're supposed to remember, MacArthur, talked about Truman sending MacArthur there after the North Koreans had invaded. We talked about the demilitarized zone, and then China coming in at the end and how it stabilized with that demilitarized zone. We said, you know, it's called the Forgotten War, remember, because it really was a police action. It was a UN action, right? And we went in there with some allies and got it back to its original stabilized line. So that's why they call it the Forgotten War today. Another reason we would say it's called the Forgotten War is all the fanfare after World War II for our returning vets. That fanfare wasn't really afforded to those returning from Korea at that point. It was seen more as a sideshow, not a world event, as Americans had seen it as it was occurring. So that's why they call it the Forgotten War today. But, you know, again, for me and the students, there's nothing but appreciation for anyone who's served in the forces. That's one of my main themes. One of their midterm questions, potentially for your short answer essay, when you come in next Wednesday, I believe, February 1st, one of those 4 questions could very well be, when does America go to war? And we talked about, you can reference World War I, World War II, the Korean War, and the Cold War. And you can talk about any of those 4. You're going to give your aspects of America, when it gets involved, and what it took for America to get involved in that war. And they're all very different circumstances. Okay? So that's kind of like our theme in here, so that's why it was good to have you guys be able to come
Thank
in and talk about that.
They called it a police action.
Yep, police action.
One thing, remember, when I went overseas, I left California, loaded on a merchant marine ship called USS Wrigley. Well, don't think it's all guts and glory, because it isn't. I stepped in a cot that swung back and forth, and I was in the stern of the ship. Every time that stern of the ship came out of the water, you boom, 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 boom. I was never so sick in my whole life. And the first thing we did, the first sergeant came up, Minor, get out of that cot. Okay? Got me out of that cot, and I started eating crackers. Right? I never got sick afterwards. That sergeant got me out of that cot, stopped swaying in that cot. Coming home, I did the same thing, but I never got sick. We stopped in Adak, Alaska, picked up about 7, 10 Navy families, and we came into California and we departed home.
Did you ever get a chance to visit the USS New Jersey since it's been put in Camden?
You know what I did after World War II when I was 15, 14? We came into New York. And that's the only time I was on it, but we used to take fuel off it all the time. Destroyer like I was on, we ran out of fuel every 3 days.
Okay.
And if we chased the aircraft carriers when the planes were taking off, so anyone crashed, we were supposed to catch a pilot.
Okay.
But there was no pilots. They all went. I've seen many of them crash, but that's the only time I went aboard. A story about, before I went in Navy, I worked in Colgate's in Jersey City, you know, Colgate's toothpaste?
Yeah.
And we were all teenagers, we worked the mailroom, we just got out of high school. And when we were over in Korea, we took fuel, so we pulled off the Bahami Riches. That was an aircraft carrier. We could take our fuel off that to run for the next 3 days. So fella come down down the engine room, he said, "Hey, Kelton, there's a guy in that carrier looking for you." Small world. I go up there and this fella, Vinnie Moore, his name was, we worked at Colgate's, he said.
Wow, there you go.
That was like, he was on the Empire State Building.
Yeah, yeah,
I was on the
looking
side.
down at you.
But where would you say, you know, what a world it is, and you go like 10,000 miles away and you meet somebody you went to school with.
Now, guys, he's been talking about the USS New Jersey. That is in Camden today. You can go visit it. You can tour the ship. They do historical tours on it. You know, if your state got a battleship named after it, it was pretty big. We talked about Pearl Harbor with the ship, USS Arizona. We talked about the Tennessee and the California getting hit, and we watched it in the movie Pearl Harbor. The USS New Jersey served with very good distinction. I think the last place it served was off of Lebanon and Beirut in the 80s, when they
It
decommissioned
was in
it.
the first war in Iraq too.
Yeah, oh, okay, okay. And then, so it's been decommissioned. I actually, on a Cub Scout troop, went up to Fall River, Massachusetts, and we stayed on the USS Massachusetts. And, you know, we slept, as the Cub Scouts, we slept on the inside. It was so hot, it was like July, midsummer, and humid, that we all wound up going out on the deck because we just couldn't take it anymore. It was so hot inside the ship.
So that's what we used to do in the tropics. We used to sleep on the deck. There was no air conditioning on us. In a room this size, we had 90 men. We have 5 bunks high.
Okay.
But at least we had a bed. He said he slept in a cot.
Hammock.
Swinging around.
But you can go on to Jersey. My son, Boy Scout troop, his son, he was down there last fall. They let them sleep on the ship and they eat in the mess hall and they do the whole thing overnight. They do it Friday to a Saturday.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did in Massachusetts when I was a kid. Yeah, same thing.
I never went down to see it. I should have. I should. Well, I still have time.
Yeah. And you guys, I don't know if you guys have noticed, New Jersey gives you option on the license plates, and one of the things you can have on your license plate is the USS New Jersey battleship, a picture of it on your license plate. So. But, very interesting stuff. Good stuff. Anybody have any other questions that they could think of, besides the ones that were handed in to me that I went over? Okay. You were both, you said you were 18 when you signed up.
Yeah.
I was 19.
Okay.
I was in the reserve. I was ordered to go, and I got my orders October 1st, 1950, and I was 19. And 3 days after I got my notice, I was drafted into the Army. So I had my choice, Army or Navy. Well, I chose the Navy. I felt I did a good thing, too.
Okay.
I said to him, I said, you know, you guys got all the good food. He corrected me right away. He said, not in that battleship. He said, we got nothing, you know. Get used to the food that they serve you, dry eggs. I live on dry eggs. I'm a vegetarian most of the time. I would shove off my chipped beef and cream chipped beef on toast or whatever, and I got the can of fruit, or I got the can of beans or whatever. That's what I lived on over here. I enjoyed it. You know, you just gotta watch what you eat. But what you took in that tray, you better have it clean when you got to end that line. You finished it, you know. Otherwise, guess what? Get back and finish it.
We used to have a sign. Take all you want,
Eat what you got.
but eat all you take. And like he said, we call it, they say MPs, that was Master at Arms in the Navy.
Yep.
And he'd stand there with a big badge on there, and he'd look at your tray, and you could dump it.
Now, when you were drafted and you went into the Navy, how long was the training?
I did the training prior.
Oh, okay.
We called it weekend sailors.
Okay.
Then I had a rating of a machinist mate, so I went on
Okay.
the ship, and I went on as a rating machinist mate. I was in the forward engine. We had 2 engine rooms, 2 fire rooms, and I guess we had 5 5-inch guns, and we had them quad 40s. If you ever see the movies of World War II with boom, boom, boom,
Yeah.
they would have went to go boom, 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 boom. And it was 8 of them. There when they shoot off, they boom, 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 all over.
I've noticed a real trend lately with students graduating here in the last 3 or 4 years. A new popular destination for students has been the Coast Guard. Just a recent thing, we've seen a lot of kids wanting to get into the Coast Guard, and training to get ready for it. You have to be a certain weight, be able to run a certain distance, and we actually had a student 2 or 3 years ago, I think he dropped 30 pounds. He had to drop 30 pounds. He was running like 6 miles a day and training and everything, and he got in. He's in
They
Hawaii
say right now it's the most dangerous service.
Coast Guard?
Yeah.
Right now it is because of the drug, the grim border
Yeah.
and in Alaska, things are going on there, it's very risky.
And my student, I'm still in touch with him, he's out in Hawaii right now, but he's eventually gonna be coming back to Florida or Virginia.
Well, I was in Hawaii, that's what was our first stop when we left the country.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Nice place to stop, yeah.
Then we went to Midway. I fought a big war in World War II over that, and it's only a little piece of sand, like a little piece of beach.
Yeah. These kids better know Midway.
Yeah, and then we went to Okinawa. In Okinawa, at low tide, you could count 37 masts that were sunk.
Wow, okay.
37 destroyers or something. Around my ship, I said, boy, this must have been a heck of a place. He said, yeah, tell me about it, he said. And I said, why? He says, I lost 3 ships here in one day. I said, yeah. I said, where's your medals? Nobody cared in World War II, medal. But then I said, well, what happened? He said, we got up in the morning, I was on a chow line. He said, all of a sudden, boom! He said, I wound up in the water. He said, swimming around there. He said, our sister ship come by, picked us up, they picked me up. He said, I was on the deck about half hour, and he said, the same submarine that got us, boom! He said, I'm back in the water again. So he said, you can't drop depth charges for all guys in the water, you won't be killed. So he said, they circled us all day long, right before it got dark at night, they put us all on a ship. So he said, we slept on anywhere we could find on a ship. He said, the next morning, the general alarm goes off. And that's the kamikazes, I'm sure you heard of kamikaze World War II. He said, I see a little dot in the sky. He said, I swear to God. He said, I swear to God. He said, that guy's gonna sink us. He said, that plane come down right between the 2 stacks, and boom, he said, 24 hours, I lost 3 ships. And I thought, you're a big hero. He said, nobody cared in World War II.
Oh,
There was no heroes.
every day. Well, we covered Okinawa, we covered all that stuff, so you guys have that, you can use that in your short answer. You don't have to get that detailed in your short answer, it's more of like a broad question, but they can ask you in those multiple choice the following day. You could be asked questions about Okinawa, Iwo Jima, Midway, and some of the things we talked about.
Good question.
How does it feel like to shoot someone?
What's that?
How does it feel like to shoot someone?
How does it feel to shoot someone? You know, that's a good question. I really never shot someone. I shot over the head to make them stop, give them a warning. But we used to be on the DMZ, and you would look at this hill, and you would see these flashlights come over, right? And when you're at Corporal Guard, or you're at the bunker, and you're laying there, and all of a sudden you got all these guards out there with different posts, you would check them out, make sure everything's okay, and go back in the bunker, and you just lay there, and you lay in a cot with your rifle alongside you, and flashlight. First thing you know, you hear pow, pow. These guys are coming over the hill with flashlights. You ever see the flashlight? Do we shoot at the flashlight? They don't know who you're shooting at, but they're shooting at that flashlight, you know? Whether they hit them or not, they didn't know. And to tell you the truth, I shot at a person one time. I never hit. I don't think I hit him. And I swear to God, I think he was only 15 years old when I see him running up the hill. You know, they're young kids. They're young. You gotta be careful, you know? You didn't know who you were. You didn't know. You know, I was Corporal Guard one night in a bunker, and I'm sleeping in a cot, and I had my rifle alongside of me and flashlight alongside of me. All of a sudden, I hear a little hook off the screen door off the Quonset hut. I'm running up. Turn around, put the flashlight, took off. He took off. I didn't even get a shot off. Yeah, they're quick.
Now, the only instance we had, we caught a junk, little junk, you see the Chinese, their little sailboats, was coming out from Wonsan Harbor, probably sneaking in supplies at night. It was just at dawn in the morning. So we went after it, and so the captain told him to, call Hail Troop, stop the ship. We want to send a party over, and they wouldn't do it. I guess there was 6 or 7 Chinese or Koreans running around the ship like mad, and they wouldn't stop, and we just put them 40mm guns, and we boom, 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 and all it was splinters in the water. You see nothing but splinters. We annihilated everything there. I very well remember that. So I didn't shoot them, but in a way I felt sorry for them, in a way I didn't. They were our enemy, and the way I figured they started it, and they got what they deserved.
I got yelled at for taking 3 months when that woman back there, you know? It takes 4 or 5 months, you know? I can feel sorry for you guys that are going through there, like Iraq, Afghanistan, what they're coming through, what they've been going through over there, plus the heat and everything that they're going through. And just the daily routine that they have to go through, it's devastating. I know they must take a year to get, you know, even if they come out of it. Even if they come out of it, it's hard.
Well, when I come home, my mother said, what are you gonna do? We were gonna get 6 months unemployment. We were entitled. Well, I said, well, I'm gonna collect 6 months unemployment. I said, and I had 3 brothers in World War II, and me and my younger brother in Korean War. And my mother said, there's no bums live in this house. Go get your job back in 2 weeks. And you know, my mother, she was tough. And I got my job back and went to work. So I got 2 weeks off.
To answer your question too, I went to work for my father. Oh my God. What a worst thing I could have done. Working for your father, they expected 50 times more from you than the other guys that working for him, right? They used to make lifeboats. They used to make air tanks, fission tanks for these lifeboats that go on these different ships. My father expected me to use a soldering gun. A soldering gun is a big piece of copper pipe. Put it in a Bunsen burner, heat it up, right? Used to solder it up, test it with the air and everything, right? And I said, Dad, I'm doing 10 tanks. These guys are doing 2 tanks. You know, what's going on? Yeah, just do your job. And you did. You did your job. But, you know, it's a learning thing, and your parents means well. Each and every one, you should remember that. We try anyway. Whether we do it right or not, sometimes, who knows?
Well, we really appreciate you guys coming in and taking
We
the time.
appreciate you letting us come here. Thank you very much. Thank you,
Very much
everyone.
appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.